Check 1, 2.
Go! Curious about real estate? Yes! Then you've come to the right place. Get the knowledge you need. Get over the fear and get started. This is the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show with your host, Michael Quarles.
Hello, everybody. Michael Quarles with podcast number 69. Today we have the 5 questions sent in by real estate investors like yourself who had a question and needed an answer. And remember, if you have a question, send it to support@bsffacademy.com. That's one more time, support@bsffacademy.com. Here we go. Question number 1. I'm an investor and also a licensed agent. When mailing your yellow letters, what would be the most effective letter campaign while doing the property disclosures on the letter disclosing that I'm a licensed agent? What do you recommend in terms of disclosing so that the response rate does not decrease? Which letter would you use? Well, first of all, the question is kind of a 2-part question. So question number 1 is, are you a licensee who's wanting to take listings? Or are you an investor who happens to be a licensee who doesn't want to take listings? If you want to take listings, then you absolutely have to disclose. The letter that works the greatest on that one is, I have a client that's looking for a house in your neighborhood, that kind of thing. So you're going, instead of the really simple one, it's I have a client that's looking for a home in your neighborhood. And assuming that's true, by the way, and you could be the client as well. Now, if you're not looking to take a listing or act or have agency with anybody, so you're not trying to work for compensation or expectation of compensation. In my state, California, I'm a broker. I don't have to indicate on my letter that I'm actually a broker because I'm not soliciting for compensation or expectation of compensation. And ultimately, I'm not creating an agency relationship. Which in California, there are laws about the first contact with direct mail that if you're doing that and if you're expecting compensation, then you have to tell the person, the recipient of the letter, who you are, what your DRE number is, who your broker is, and their DRE number is. I believe that if you are having 2 hats on, you absolutely should always do that. I believe that even if you say, no, I'm going to buy the house myself, but if there's anything in the back of your mind that says every once in a while I may take a listing, then you always have to say I'm a real estate agent and to disclose it, and then have that. You can say I'm buying this for myself, and if you can do that, that would be great, and just disclose it on the bottom that you're a licensee and on all the disclosures for your state. With all that said, I can tell you that the agent letters, from a yellow letter perspective, don't get as much feedback or as many calls back as the investor letter because people really are wanting to deal with the direct principal, not necessarily a listing agent. What I would do, and if I was going to solicit either way, so I was a real estate agent, active real estate agent into the industry, but I was looking for houses for myself, or I was an active listing agent and I was looking for houses for myself. So either way. So one way I wanted to buy the house, wouldn't take listings. The other way I'd buy the house and I'd take a listing. I would use a typed professional letter, make it real fancy, logos, all that kind of stuff. And I would put it in a hand-addressed envelope. But on the envelope, I wouldn't say anything about who I was. So on the letter, really professional, everything about you that you want to say, really typed professional, logos, what have you, handwritten envelope. That's going to go a lot further than a yellow letter would. Question number 2. I listened to one of your most recent podcasts and you said you will not buy properties on the MLS that are represented by an agent. Why not? If the numbers work and there is good profit in the deal, why pass it up? The reason I won't is because I've learned, being a guy that understands a lot about marketing and then owning a really large marketing company, I know that the 6 or 7% that I'd be paying the agents to buy and sell me that property, so represent the seller, represent me. That 6%, no matter what it is, if it's $100,000, that's $6,000. If I took that same $6,000 in commission and I put it in advertising, I'd have more result. And then I also have an issue with a listing agent who went to a seller and said, hey, your house is worth 100% or 80% or 90%, whatever they did. have a hard time believing that agent's going to promote my offer that's going to be at 60%. Because, I mean, how could they really justify it to the seller? Because they told the seller, in order to justify my commissions, your house is worth X. Well, I don't want to pay that commission. And I know sellers, a lot of us think that the seller is the one who pays it. No, they're the one that authorizes the payment. I give the seller money. They subtract, before they give the seller the money, the cost of that commission. So inevitably, I'm paying it. If I had no commission involved, I'd pay the seller less. So I don't want to pay it because I want to use the money for something else. Now, if I get a really super low deal that an agent brought me, and their agent commission was less than what I figure the cost is for me to market to buy each deal, then of course I'm going to take that deal from that agent. So if it's a really hot deal, the cost to the agent is less than what the average is that I spend on marketing for a deal, then I would be foolish not to buy it from that agent. But that's rare. That's extremely rare that their commissions are that low. But if someone brought me one, absolutely. Question number 3. How do you handle a property that has some mold on the interior of the home? Do you still move forward and put it under contract, or do you have a mold situation evaluation first? I put it under contract. I'm not afraid of mold. I bought many houses and taken care of the mold. I mean, in the early days of mold, it scared everybody. But in today's marketplace, man, there's so much equipment, so many things out there that you could do to eradicate and abate mold, that it's just not a big deal anymore. Yeah, sometimes you have to take sheetrock all the way down the walls all the way down to studs and clean them all out and have a guy come in here and certify it. But it's not that big of a deal. And besides that, here's the key. You have insurance money. You have insurance money. And if you get a house under contract that has mold, make sure you use the form that says you are now the beneficiary of that insurance check. So the insurance company doesn't send that to the seller. Get the seller to notarize it, that you become the beneficiary of the insurance claim. It's yours. You get it. You bought it. You have the right to it. If you don't do that, you're foolish, because the insurance company will pay that seller. And I believe it is as long as the claim's less than 1 year old, there's still a claim to be filed. So make sure you get that and put everything in writing so the seller knows that's why you're buying the house, because you have this insurance claim that's going to take care of it. But you're gonna buy the house, and the seller's on their way.
Thanks for listening to Buy, Sell, Fix, Flip. We'll be right back. Are you running out of leads? It's time you tried Yellow Letters at yellowletters.com. Get motivated seller leads through yellow letters, postcards, zip letters, typed professional letters, greeting cards, door hangers, and business cards. Yellow Letters is a full-service marketing company created with your success in mind. Get the personal attention you need to get your direct mail campaign started, and get in touch at yellowletters.com.
And we are back in 3, 2, 1.
Question number 4 is a scenario question. Mrs. Investor just got a call from a guy in Florida. He said he'd take $100,000 on his $168,000 house. He wants Mrs. Investor to make an offer before they make an appointment. She told him that she would do some due diligence and then get back to him. He wants to close escrow in July. What should Mrs. Investor's next step be? Well, step back, because you want to make sure that you go through the seller script number 1, then go through the seller script number 2. Make sure that all the decision makers are there, and that even if it's a phone call callback, that all the decision makers are going to be there when you call back to buy the house. At that point, and if that's a yes answer, then at that point, do all your due diligence. Call them back on the appointment that you set. Always do an alternative choice. So I'm going to call you back at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Which one's better? 4 o'clock, great. And then ask for all the decision makers. Make sure they're going to be there. And then do your due diligence. Make sure that it's actually worth 168. And if 100 works for you, perfect. Then you're going to send out your inspectors. See, we have, especially on out-of-town sellers, we have to use what they tell us until we start doing our due diligence. We're going to get a BPO from an agent that's local. So we're going to send out an agent. We're going to give them $100. And that agent's going to say, yeah, did an interior. Here's all the pictures. I think it's worth 168. I think it's worth 154. I think it's worth 208, whatever. And at that point, then we decide, okay, that's what the agent thinks it's worth. They're only looking at it as is. They don't really know anything about ARV kind of stuff. So it's either going to be a good splash or a bad wash, one or the other. Question number 5. A seller calls in and wants you to buy their house, and everything goes to plan until you look up the comps. No comps support buying the property, even at 70 cents as is. Other than calling them back, do you follow up with them at 15, 30, 60, 90, hoping that they may pay off some debt so you can buy it? Absolutely, you're going to call them back immediately and say, you know what, I'm sorry, but what I've come up with doesn't support the number that you say the house is worth, and it appears as though you're over leveraged. Are you willing to bring money to escrow to lower the value so it causes me to buy it, or the value of that note so I can go ahead and buy it? A lot of people bring money to escrow. It's no big deal, but we got to ask the question. And maybe they say no in the beginning. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. And you go, okay, thank you. If anything changes, please call me back. And do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell a house? But you're still going to call them back at 15, 30, 60, and 90. Things may have changed. Maybe the pain got so tough for them and they found the money to reduce their mortgage so you can buy it. So follow up, but always ask the tough questions. It's our job to ask the tough questions. Guys, got a nice announcement. Got a really cool announcement. In fact, I've got 2 really cool announcements. Tomorrow is that special podcast I've been talking about. Tomorrow, I've got a mega guy, a mega investor, going to be on my podcast with me. I'm going to grill him. I'm going to grill him some more. It's going to be fun. I want you to listen to tomorrow's podcast number 70. Here's the other announcement. And I know it's no big deal. And I know that it's just here to help you guys as a tool. But we have implemented, I've paid the money. I bought this little forum tool. I stuck it on buysellfixflip.com. So you guys, you investors, if you have a question and maybe you go over there and you fill it out, type out your question and put it under the right forum topic. Maybe somebody else will see your question. They'll answer it for you. If no one answers it, I'll answer it. Someone will answer it. It's just a way to have a little bit more community. I just want you to know we did that. So look for that at the buysellfixflip.com site. You'll see the little forum link. And man, let's start using that thing. Let's start talking to each other. I still need you to send in these 5 questions because that's important too, so we keep these podcasts going. Boy, guys, this is going to be fun. We're going to have a fun 2015. Hope you guys are making money like I am. I was told today, now we've bought 9 houses since we did our last daily deal, but I was told today we got a pearl. I mean, man, when someone comes into my office and says, Mike, we got one. We got a big one today. We got a beautiful deal today. Man, that makes me excited. I just love my life. I absolutely love my life. I get to talk to guys like you and gals like you and maybe make your life better. And then people tell me my life gets better too. Guys, until next time, have fun. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Get more info and stay in touch at michaelquarles.com.